Hey everybody, Eric aka Core Geek here. So what I have for you today is a very basic video about how to create Worbla armor using Worbla and craft foam. It's kind of known as the sandwich technique. I think Cami Cosplay coined that term. It uses just your standard craft foam like this, and sandwiched with Worbla. And you can end up with something like this little mini van brace that I made for the video. This technique is a little bit different than what Cami does. I use a rollover. She uses a pinch edge and then a trim. I kind of like the rollover. I think on the final pieces, the rollover has a nice look to the edge. And another thing I know people like to do is not put Worbla on the backside. This is a full sandwich technique that I'm going to show you. I like the sandwich because it makes nice rigid pieces, and it gives your fasteners like your Velcro and stuff more surface, a harder surface to adhere to instead of just that kind of soft craft foam that I figured with this much Velcro the craft foam would eventually rip out, and I didn't want that to happen. So I hope you enjoy the video. This is my favorite kind of CA super glue. It's called Hot Stuff, and it glues craft foam super fast. It also glues your fingers together super fast, so be very careful with it, or you'll end up with a pair of pliers stuck to your fingers like I may or may not have had. I'm going to speed this up a little bit here. So just glue down your craft foam together in place, and whatever your design is going to be of whatever you want to show through the Worbla. Then the bottom plate, it gets trimmed to the exact same size, so you don't need a lot of overlap. This is a piece I pre-cut. We'll speed this up, heat up that Worbla. You want it pliable but not bubbling. You can kind of tell when it's right, the color changes. And then you want to stick this piece on the bottom side to the shiny part of the Worbla, which is the part of the Worbla that has the adhesive on it. And then you can just kind of press it out and make sure that you get out all the little bubbles and things. Well, that's still warm. It's really easy to trim Worbla, way easier than when it's cold. And then you want to trim this piece nice and flush, just like that. Now for your scraps, always save your Worbla. That stuff's expensive. That's my little bucket I keep mine in. Your top piece, I always just try to trim out a piece that's going to leave me with the least amount of scraps. So for this piece, you'll want to leave an edge for the overlap, because we're going to wrap it around the edge. I cut this kind of large here, so it's probably a little too big to begin with, but it kind of did it to over exaggerate what you're looking for. And then just trim that out to where it's the same, roughly the same shape as the rest of the shape that you're going to be wrapping. You want to heat that back up so you can put it back on the other side. And we'll lay this on here, kind of fumble it a little bit. It sticks together, but you can pull it apart easily if you're careful. And you're going to push that on there and then work out that design with a tool. And my favorite tool is this little yellow tool. I found it at Michael's in a set of cheap sculpting tools, and as you can see, it's well worn because I use it for a lot of stuff, and I really like it for this part of defining these edges. So just push those edges through, make sure they're nice and crisp, and you can define all those edges, and then that detailing is going to pop. And it looks pretty cool once you get it going there. Speed up the process a little bit here. Once you're to that point, maybe trim this off a little more. I decided it was a little bit too big. I was going to leave a little too much extra. And then you need to snip all these little indentations in there, anywhere that there's a curve, because you want that Worbla to wrap without buckling around those curves. And when you make these snips, don't go all the way to the foam. Leave a little bit of a buffer, the same width of the craft foam. So when you roll that over, you don't see the gaps from where it's been snipped. And then heat it back up, and then roll those over and push it down into there. And as you do this, the Worbla is going to cool off a little bit, so you may need to grab your gun and heat it up again a little more, and then just continue to go down the domino effect, and just once that's heated up, just continue to roll that over and get that edge nice, and you can push it in and get it looking good. This is what it looks like when it's all done. Since it's flat, we got to heat it back up to shape it. So once that's all heated up and ready to be shaped, you can use a form. I decided that, you know, this tube might make a pretty good form. So you can wrap it around the form, and you can wait for it to cool off and then peel it off. And one thing you'll notice is sometimes where you define those edges on the craft foam, that those will pull up a little bit. So I always kind of go over those again and just make sure they're down and stuck and they stay there. I decided to go ahead and peel this off of here because I wanted to form it just a little more. It was a little too flat, and I wanted a little more curvature to it. So, and the nice thing about it is you can curve it. And I found a bubble in there. And what you can do is just take a needle and poke the bubble a couple times. Just use a sharp needle, and then you can just flatten it back out, and bubble's gone. Just do a little more hand shaping here. You can shape it to whatever you want because it's warm and malleable. And that's pretty much it. Once it cools off, you have a solid piece, and you're done with one piece of armor. And you can do that for many other pieces. And here's a comparison with the full-size Loki piece that's all finished, and just an example of what you can do with it. If you made it this far, thanks for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below or on my Facebook page. And if you have a topic you'd like me to cover, let me know.